Algebra I, number 5.10b, squaring binomials. When we multiply a binomial to itself, it's called squaring the binomial. If we have a plus 3 in parentheses with a 2 exponent, it's the same thing as a plus 3 times a plus 3. Using the FOIL method, first, outside, inside, last, we can solve this multiplication problem. We use the distributive property twice, don't we? We distribute this a to this a and then that to the 3. And we distribute this 3 to that a and then that 3. And what we get is a squared plus 6a plus 9. Because the outer and inner ones end up having the same terms, see? Because these are identical. So we're going to get a 3a and a 3a, see? We can just combine those like terms to make a 6a. So a plus 3 in parentheses, and the whole thing is the base to this square, ends up equaling a squared plus 6a plus 9, see? Now don't make the mistake of thinking it's the same thing as a squared plus 3 squared. It's not. And I'm going to show you in a minute why. But this is not the same thing. If you think of this as this, you're going to get it wrong, okay? That is not the same thing. You need to open it up as two binomials, okay? Now there's another way to square a binomial without using the FOIL method. I'm going to go over a few different methods in this video, okay? Squaring binomials, the square of a binomial is the square of the first term. So if we have a plus b in parentheses, or a minus b even, we would square the a, see? Then it's plus or minus, whichever it is, plus or minus, twice the product of the two terms. So we would take 2 times a times b. We would multiply these, not add. We would multiply these, not subtract. So it'd be 2 times the a times b. Then we would just add the square of the last term, see? So notice what the signs are doing. When it's a plus in between them and we're squaring, then it's going to have 2 plus signs. When it's a minus and we're squaring, the first one's a minus, the second one's a plus. See that? Now, let me show you with actual numbers, okay? Let's say we had 4 plus 5 and that's squared. Well, we know order of operations tells us to add these two together and then square it, right? 4 plus 5 is 9, and then 9 squared is 9 times 9, right? 9 times 9, that's 81, right? Now, if we looked at this as 4 squared plus 5 squared, 4 squared plus 5 squared, like we were talking about down here where I said it was wrong, 4 squared is 16, and 5 squared is 25. 16 and 25 equals 41. That's not 81. Something's wrong, isn't it? So it's not 4 squared plus 5 squared, okay? We're missing the center. We're missing a 40 in the center because we didn't FOIL or we didn't square the binomial correctly, okay? We have to plus or minus twice the product of the two terms. That's the center part. All right, so let's do it this way. We've got 4 plus 5 inside parentheses as the base, and it's squared. So the first thing we're going to do is square the first term. So 4 squared is 4 times 4. That's 16. Then we're going to do twice the product of the two terms. So twice the product of them. We're going to multiply them together. See? This is a times b, not a plus b. And this is a times b, not a minus b. So we need to multiply these two guys together and do 2 times that. Well, 4 times 5 is 20, times 2 is 40. There's our missing 40. Then we square the last term. And that's 5 times 5, that's 25. When you add 16 plus 40 plus 25, we do get 81. So see how it's not 4 squared plus 5 squared? You got to open it up so that they're two binomials and use FOIL, or use this method of squaring the first term, doing 2 times the product of the two terms, and then squaring the last term, and then you'll get it right, okay? What if we have a variable in there? We've got 3m plus 5 as the base, and it's squared. So we square the first term, 3m squared, okay? Then we're going to do twice, there's the 2, of the product of the two terms. So the product of 3m and 5 is 15m, isn't it? Then we're going to square the last term. 5 times 5 is 25. So now we need to multiply this 2 times 15m, don't we? We have to finish this part, so we get 30m. So we get 9m squared, because this was 3 times 3 is 9, and m times m is m squared. So we get 9m squared plus 30m plus 25 as our final answer. Now, we also talked about a couple videos ago using the rectangular method to FOIL. You just make a rectangle, and you put a square, a set of 4 squares inside of it like that, like with a plus sign, and then you put your 3m plus 5, see? And because it's squared, we're going to do it twice, 3m plus 5. Then we multiply this box. 3m times 3m is 9m squared. And then we multiply 3m to the positive 5, and we get positive 15m. Then we multiply this 3m to the 5, and we get positive 15m. And those are like terms. They can be added, can't they? They'll end up being 30m. And we do 5 times 5 is 25. When we write them all down, we can combine these two center terms and get the 30m, and we get the same answer, see? So we can use the squaring binomial method. We can use the FOIL method. We could use this rectangular method, all right? So let's take a look at when there's a subtraction sign in the middle, okay? So we did it with the plus sign. Let's see what happens with the minus sign. So remember, it's going to have a subtraction and then a plus, isn't it? All right, so we've got 4x squared minus 3x. So now we've got 2 variables. We got one in each term, don't we? And this is the entire base, and it's squared, okay? So we're going to end up with 16x to the 4th power. Because 4 times 4 is 16, x squared times x squared. We add the exponents, right? Because the product rule of exponents. So we get x to the 4th. Now we need to put the subtraction sign, and then we're going to multiply twice the product of the two terms. So the product of these two would be 4 times 3 is 12, and then we got an x to the 2nd power and an x to the 1st power, don't we? So that would be 12x to the 3rd power, and we've got to multiply that by a negative 2. That's going to give us a negative 24x to the 3rd power, isn't it? And then we're going to square this last guy, and 3 times 3 is 9, and x times x is x squared. So our final answer is 16x to the 4th power minus 24x to the 3rd power plus 9x squared. See? Now, this is how we would have solved this same problem using the FOIL method. We would have opened it up into 2 binomials and distributed twice. We would have distributed the 4x squared to this 4x squared and to the negative 3x. And we would have distributed this negative 3x to the 4x squared and the negative 3x to the negative 3x. And we would have gotten the same exact answer as we did by doing the squaring binomials method. This FOIL method always combines the outside and inside terms. See that? So we ended up with negative 24x to the 3rd power. So either way gets us the same answer, but it's always good to know how to solve problems more than one way. You don't want to be closed-minded, okay? If you can't climb over the wall, can you go around the wall? Can you go under the wall? Can you dig a tunnel underneath it? You want to have all different ways to solve problems, okay? So I just showed you a bunch of ways, didn't I? Now, when you know how to square binomials with the way we just talked about, with this way, you'll be able to do it quickly in your head. You get the square of the first term, then you do plus or minus 2 times the product of the two terms, you multiply them, then you just add the square of the last term, okay? Now, if you want to review, or if you're confused or anything, need some extra help about multiplying a sum and a difference, or the FOIL methods, whether it's the regular FOIL method or the rectangular box one, or multiplying binomials, or if you're having trouble with exponents and parentheses, check this description, and there's going to be links in there that you can quickly click on to watch a short video to get you caught up to date, okay? Our next video, 5.11, is going to be all about multiplying polynomials. Okay? Keep your chin up. Keep trying. You're going to do okay. We're going to get through Algebra 1 together. Bye.